The second-round playoff series between the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder kicked off in the most spectacular and perhaps unexpected fashion possible. OKC entered this matchup fresh off a sweep on the Memphis Grizzlies, while the Mile High City squad was coming off a hard-fought Game 7 victory against the Los Angeles Clippers in an incredibly competitive series. Now, let's break down the key tactical elements that defined Game 1 between these two teams. Let's start with what Adelman did to limit Shai. OKC usually wants his superstar go one-on-one against his defender, and they do so by letting him isolate on an empty side of the floor. But the Nuggets came prepared and let Jokic roam to help in this type of situation. In addition to that, whoever was guarding Dort, so Murray most of the times, was allowed to help when needed, like you see here. In this play, the choice is evident. Jokic doesn't even look at Hartenstein because he's focused on SGA. Even Gordon and Westbrook are flooding the strong side to encourage Gilgeous-Alexander to give up the ball, and he does so. One of Daigneault's most effective after timeout plays is called Horns Out Backdoor. I analyzed it in the video I made about this team's playbook. You'll find the link in the info cards up here. It starts with a horns alignment. It then seems to develop into a stagger action with Shai as the receiver. But it's just a decoy to take the real action to the other side of the floor. They wanted to execute the same play here. The two big men are forming the horns at the initial stage of the play. There's the stagger decoy action as well, with Jalen Williams as the fake receiver. And then the action developing on the other side of the court. The reason why it didn't work in this occasion is because Murray, who left Dort alone, in line with the game plan, has double-teamed Gilgeous-Alexander and forced him into a tough shot. Dort wasn't the only player the Nuggets were allowed to leave open, as Jokic was often guarding Caruso to roam off of him and take away paint shots. The Thunder reacted to this by directly involving Jokic into as many pick-and-roll actions as possible. Here, they first force him to switch on Holmgren with a down screen. Then, Hartenstein sets a screen on the Serbian knowing he can't recover on the German big man quickly. But they particularly involved him in this kind of plays when he was guarding the screener. In these situations, the ball handler is typically quicker than the Nuggets center, so Shai can attack downhill. Daigneault's team found success when the Joker was involved in empty-side pick-and-rolls as well. The reigning MVP is in a drop coverage, so Hartenstein can show how good of a short roll man he is. Another empty-side action OKC ran to involve Jokic is a simple yet effective ghost screen. So here Chet, instead of screening Porter Jr. away, just slips to the corner. The same principles were applied when Jokic was on Dort to roam in the paint. This should have been a horns play, but Williams read Jokic's deep position and pulls up from three. If we combine the last two things we've seen, we get an action the Thunder could have probably run more during Game 1. Just like Holmgren before, Dort slips to the perimeter to take the open three. To protect his big man, Adelman tried the 3-2 zone coverage for a couple of possessions, but it was poorly organized. OKC correctly gives the ball to the man on the nail here. Then they create a mismatch to trigger the help, often done by Caruso's man as we've seen before. See how fragile this coverage was. A simple drive has led to an open three for a shooter like Wiggins in the corner. So they ultimately opted for a man-to-man defense with a coverage similar to the one utilized in the series against the Clippers. Jokic doesn't drop but hedges when necessary and recover, while the low man tags the roll man, especially if the low man is guarding either Dort or Caruso like Murray here. Same coverage here. The Serbian is aggressive on the ball and Murray comes to tag Hartenstein. Joe makes a great read and sprints to the perimeter, but J-Dub doesn't read the play as well. The principles are the same here, but this time Murray helps in the paint even though he's guarding Wallace because he knows Porter Jr. can eventually rotate on him or Holmgren, as this defense comfortably lives with leaving Dort open. You can see the Nuggets guard more worried about Wallace than Dort. We can now move on to how OKC tried to limit Jokic. The first thing to notice is Holmgren guarding him, and not Hartenstein, which has been surprising to me. The idea behind it is probably having Hartenstein as a helper, even though I see Holmgren's wingspan more effective for this kind of task. But when Westbrook was on the court, Daigneault wanted the player who was on Russ to help on Jokic. In this case, it's Caruso. Same applies for Isaiah Joe here, who was guarding the former Thunder MVP. The Thunder defense is not worried about leaving Westbrook wide open, just like the Nuggets defense with Dort and Caruso. One thing before the last part of the video. You can have access to extra content on my IG profile. There, I publish posts about original basketball topics, often treated with a scientific and unconventional approach. I highly suggest checking it out. You'll find the link in the description. So, the Nuggets are now up 1-0 in the series against the Thunder. Adjustment-wise, I expect OKC to switch Holmgren and Hartenstein's defensive assignments, since Jokic shot 3 for 9 against the German and 8 for 13 against the former second pick. On the Mile High City side, things will depend on how well Porter Jr. and Westbrook will shoot the ball, but I'd like to see more minutes for Strother anyway. If you enjoyed this breakdown, feel free to like the video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you, and see you in the next one.